Hey boys, girls, YouTube world. Today the Duff Dog and I are going to be working on Dirt Reynolds, the Trans Marrow Bird, Grimace, the Purple Panty Dropper, Prince, the Trans Slam, the Grand Slam, you name it. We got a lot going on in the shop, but we got some parts sitting around for this thing. This thing actually drives really good. I know everybody, not everybody. There's a few of you that are complaining because I was complaining. Well, this is my car. If I want to complain about it, that's fine. And I bought it because I knew just how terrible it was, and I knew how great of a video it was, and that video did amazing. So we're gonna bring it back for a second shot. We're gonna see if we can do just as well with a second video, and we're gonna make this thing even better. So let me tell you what we got for plans for it. What are you gonna tell them? How excited are you about Dirt Reynolds here? So we brought it in here because we're doing tires on the back of Reggie there, and I happened to mysteriously blow a tire on this thing on the rear.
Goddamn spinning tires!
Mojo says it's on fire.
Yeah. It's still smoking.
She's smoldering. So we got 2 new tires on the back, and I took one of my Reggie tires to put on there to limp this around. I had to steal the Reggie tires back. So we got 2 75/60s on the back of Reggie and the back of the Bandit here. We got to lower the front end a little bit because it sits too high, and then we might have to get some tires because these 14s on the welds aren't that good, and they're super reasonable and they're cheap. And you don't want bad tires. You been smoking menthols again? All of a sudden we got Ronnie in the shop here, and all of a sudden you're ripping darts. So we gotta get her a little bit lower. We gotta put a relay on the electric fans so that it doesn't keep running. We should probably, I mean, everything's mounted with zip ties, that's fine. First things first, somebody's a little bit hungry, so breakfast is served. Oh, you probably want one of these, huh? There you go, have a snack. I'm guessing we should probably get this power steering hose off of the power steering pulley. So put that on the list before that blows. I'll definitely forget that. You know, maybe we can do something with the, not mass airflow sensor, I don't know, manifold absolute intake air temperature sensor, whatever that is, that's held in with a plastic glove. These tires are Milestar Street Steels, but where did I see it on here? Oh yeah. Can you read that? The High Life. Speaking of High Life, you need to get yourself a Mortske High Life decal. Well, the thing is, we're not all about the high life around here. We're about the low life. Get yours at mortske.com. You can get your shirts at mortske.com. You can get your screwdrivers at mortske.com. This is the handiest thing ever. I've had so many people email me, message me, comment on the videos about getting their magnetic screwdriver at mortske.com, that how great they are. This one's a little marked up because we've been using the snot out of it, but we got air fresheners, keychains, magnetic can koozies. Oh yeah, check these hot rods out. This one's getting a little bit stained up because we've been, you know, enjoying a few sandwiches with it. But yeah, we got some new fittings for the temp sensor so we can get rid of that conglomeration because there's maybe a leak there. We can maybe fix a door handle on the inside so that I can climb out, and then, you know, maybe fix the outside of this one. Nah, Duff don't need to climb in. This thing does have, I don't know what GM called it, but you can shift it with the key not turned on. But see how this thing is like an oval shape right here? So you can bring her back into low, and if you slide this thing over to the right and bang it ahead really hard, it'll go to second, and then you let it go over, and then you go over again, and it'll bang into third. So it's kind of like a slapstick. Boom, there's second. I mean, and then it'll only go into third. So you can't miss a gear, and you can't hit neutral. So that's pretty awesome. There's like 2 people that comment on the video that, hey, yours has got that fancy shifter. The only problem is that's a 3-speed shifter. It's a 4-speed transmission, so I can only hold it in second and third. I can't hold it in first. I got new calipers and pads and hoses for the back, so we will have rear brakes, so we're making it pretty dang safe again. I'd like to pull the rear cover off, see what we got for a rear end in it. Maybe we'll put a hitch on the back, you know? What would be cooler than having a 79 Tata 10th anniversary Trans Am pulling a boat? Like we just need some big Skeeter McPeter craft, like a 455 Olds or a 464 or a big block Chevy in it, you know, just shooting rooster tails up, you know, cruising for chicks on the lake. So yeah, I guess we got our work cut out for us on this thing. Oh, and I might have scored some sweet license plates for it too. We're definitely not gonna paint it. We should maybe fix the floor pan. There's the air fresheners you can get at mortske.com. Somebody messaged us, said they had a steering wheel. I don't know if they ever sent it or not. Well, I haven't seen it if they have sent it, but the steering wheel's pretty gross underneath there. Good thing it's got the steering wheel condom on it. Let's do some work on Reggie. I think I gotta put transmission fluid in it because the tranny was leaking. Yeah, let's show you what we got going on in the shop here. The hooter hauler interior is gutted, cleaned, swapped interior from another pickup, and we got a new headliner, new carpet. Let me just show you. It's way more gooder. We're in the process of putting a Joy Bring doubled in stereo with backup camera in it, because you can't really see anything out the back window because of the bed and everything. We got the fancier seats in here, got rid of the old, I don't know, tweed low end ones. Pulled the rubber floor liner out, floor mat, whatever you want to call it. Pressure wash it off. We put a different door handle in here so it doesn't have a bunch of play. We got the fancier headliner in here that's not all drooped out. This one's only moderately drooped. Yeah, this thing's gonna be way more gooder. Like I said, pretty much down to the stereo. And the inside is about done. I got a new upper control arm and some shocks to put in it. We tried swapping the chrome grille out of the other one, but the other one's not an HD, so it's missing this strip. Oh yeah, we swapped the headlights out of that one. The bumper's a little bit tweaked. She's got a gap over here, and she's real tight like right there. So we got to probably come down with that side, I think is what we'll do. The body gaps on this thing are not good. I think this thing was in a collision, because if you look at this door over here, it's like uber tight up here, and I have never seen a gap that big on a late model. So I don't know, I think she's been crunchied one time. So we got Reggie and we got Dirt Reynolds. The 63 is just hanging out up there. I need to put a wire harness in that and bleed the brakes, put carpet in it. That's about it. And then we don't really do customer stuff, but this car's local. It's been around since I was a kid. His dad gave it to him. I remember his dad having it forever. Anyway, we did some carb work. We did some suspension work, or did some steering work. Now we're doing bushings in the front spring, because she had the old death wobble going to her.
Dude!
And then we're gonna adjust up the brakes. These cars have mechanical brakes. Let's see if I can show you. So here's this rod. When you push the foot feet, it pulls or pushes on that rod, and then it activates these guys down here, pushes your brakes in and out. How neat is that?
That's pretty neat.
And there's an adjustment up top, and there's adjustments on all the rods. So it's like a 2-day deal to loosen up all those linkages and adjust them, and then you start at the end and work your way to the other end, and then go back the other way and do it again. And we got the blinkers working. It's just kind of snowballed, but it's pretty cool old, I think it's a 29 Model A sedan. Like I said, runs great, just needs a few little things. We got to do exhaust gaskets in it, but yeah, pretty dang nice old car. Reggie just got back from alignment, put new tires on the front, and on the back we went to a wider tire on the back. The front just got new tires, same size was on there. In the back we went to a 15x8 275/60s that were on the pickup when we got it. Right? Right. Transmission pan was leaking, speedo was leaking, output seal on the transmission was leaking, so we fixed all that. The U-joints, or the U-bolts on the rear end were wrong. Well, mismatched. One was fine thread, one was coarse thread, so I put 2 match on there, coarse thread, because I'm irritable about stuff like that. So we gotta get everything all sealed back up. Gotta put tranny fluid in it. And I'm gonna see if I can find an inspection cover. Why are they always missing the inspection covers around the torque converter ring gear? So I'm gonna see if I can find that right away. Well, never mind. Apparently, I already found an inspection cover and put on here. It was in my list in my phone of things to do. So that's done. Oh, we gotta get the speedo working. It's a 2-person job. We gotta wait for Mojo to get here. Spin this with a drill. One of us watches the speedo to see if it's working. Yeah, she's just a greasy, grimy gopher gut mess underneath here. Before we can carry on, it's our freaking kickdown that's leaking. And it's leaking out the top of the kickdown. I know there's a seal down here, but I've never seen it leak out the top. So of course we gotta drop the pan to unhook that. And nobody's got one on hand. And this one kind of looks aftermarket, so it's probably why it's leaking. So maybe we'll see if we can find something out there that's used and good and slip on. But we'll pull that pan again. Yay!
Yay!
And it is just pouring out of there. The transmission pan is off and it's spotless because, you know, we just cleaned it. The floor is a little bit saturated. There's your valve body. There's your kickdown cable rod we got on hook. There's your filter. There's your dipstick. There's an O-ring around that can leak too, but I'm gonna pull that thing off of there and fish it out of there. That way at least we know what tools to steal it out of another one. 60 bucks for a new one, and I don't even trust them. The quality on this aftermarket stuff is just horrendous. Just ask Wes. Okay, gonna have to use a wrench. There's our retainer clip, and it looks like somebody's already tried sealing it with a gasket or something. I don't know what the heck's going on there. And that's definitely not an OEM washer. Who knows? I gotta go up top and unhook it up there because I'm an idiot. Should have done that before. And then we can hopefully feed it down and unhook it down here. Oh, sure enough. This is some aftermarket style something or other. Explains why it was such amazing quality. See if this little handy dandy channel lock brand mini pliers will get this pin out. There's no room to grab. There, we're getting there. Yes. What kind of conglomeration is this? Another reason I despise the aftermarket. Never guessed the right size Allen wrench on the first shot. Should get an award. There. Now we should just be able to fish it down there and unhook it. Going up. Now it should move freely. Well, as freely as it can. Maybe not. How about the sheathing? Does that move? What the French? There. Maybe. Nothing like probing around in your automatic transmission, adding a bunch of contamination. Should be fine. How in the world do you get this unhooked? Not gonna lie, don't have a ton of experience with these. What you're probably not supposed to do is bend the end over so that it'll fit through that hole. Which is exactly what we're gonna do. And that is made out of something that does not want to bend. What do we gotta do to take that apart? Well, that looks like it's just hooked to a plunger, so if we take that bolt out, it should all come out of there. Here's our kick down, which I presume is low car, because they were probably the only people around 30 years ago. And you can see there's your cable, and there's your sheathing, and really there's no seal in there, so I'm guessing it just kind of sealed magically for years, but now it doesn't. So I want to see if we can't put a OEM style one on there, or else we're gonna just drill and tap this. Whoops, and put a pipe plug in it. For now, we don't need no stinking kick down. We're not racing with this thing. We got race cars for that. So about 8 hours ago, we were putting a pipe plug and a kick down cable, and then the alignment shop said, the Cowboy Cadillac's done, and I really like this thing. I did at that time. So we went down to see Napa Todd and pick it up. Everything was going great. Thought, let's swing by the old shop, grab a couple of transmissions, get ourselves a kick down cable. Look at this one. So we're gonna steal a pan off it. Not because it's filled with sludge, but because it's got a drain plug, because we're probably gonna have to drain the oil several more times. And I wish I had one of them fancy stands that don't they pin right there? I don't know. So anyway, all was going well, cruising in the AC, got our torque converter lockup working, until it wasn't. We got about 4 miles from home, and it started surging, and so I pulled off the road earlier this week. Earlier this week to get it down there. We had to drop the fuel tank, put a different fuel pump in it because we didn't have fuel pressure. We still don't have fuel pressure, so we swapped fuel rails. We just did a million things, and we can unhook the return line, and there's no fuel coming out, but it seems like it runs good. And it should be returning fuel, so that maybe I got the wrong pump in there, but you could have 2 of the wrong pumps. And I looked them up on Amazon, and they're the right, something Walbro 240, 355, I don't know. It's the good one. So I think what we've determined is that the rubber hose on the fuel pump in the sending unit is leaking before it gets to 58 PSI, because we swapped regulators, we swapped everything. And I didn't show any of it because it's miserable troubleshooting these things. It's miserable troubleshooting in general, but long story short, the Cowboy Cadillac's got to go on the hoist now. So I don't know if we're ever going to get to dirt Reynolds again, but we can't get anything on the lift until we get Reggie off the lift. So I'm gonna go ahead and fish this kick down cable on there, because I figured let's do it right. We're all about doing it right, you know, putting the transmission pan with the drain plug in it, and actually putting a kick down on it, and then I'll find a stock GM bracket. Just kidding, this kick down cable will be on there. There's where it seals on these. It's the O-ring seal, and then they're nice and crimped here. This is a way better design than that aftermarket one that was on there. But anywho, you got to blow apart another transmission to do it. So we'll have this up here. I don't know if we'll have it hooked up, but I mean, it'll be plugging the hole, and all I got to do, if I can't stand not having a kick down, is making a bracket up top here. These are even adjustable, I think. Oh yeah, you just push in on this guy right there, I think, and you could slide it back and forth. Of course, it's got a clip busted. Well, we'll just zip tie it in place. We'll figure it out. But Mojo and I got the suspension back together on Larry's sedan, and we got the brakes adjusted up, and we got the exhaust leak fixed. So hopefully this thing can go away, and I'll remember to never ever take on any more customer work. And we're gonna eat a whole bunch of time, and I was gonna make videos, but we didn't. And I'm pretty sure I had a heat stroke today too, so I had to crash out for a while in the AC because I was dying. I don't know. I'm here to talk about it. I really need to get a will, so if you need anything, let me know. Chin's gonna be the executor of this state, so you gotta deal with him when I pass out a heat exhaustion. Rant over. This guy talks too much on this channel. Putting a kick down cable on before the transmission fluid runs underneath that thing. Good thing about that thing is it doesn't leak. Yet. Alexa, pause music. Get your SS1 Super Scraper at mortske.com. In stock right now. We're gonna make quick work of that cork. soaking a cork.
I love soaking a cork. I could soak a cork all night long if they let me. I would soak 2 corks at once.
We're gonna do some pudding things now. Kickdown's in, we're starting to spill some transmission fluid back into this thing, so I'm gonna start it up, cycle it through the gears a few times, make sure we got enough transmission fluid in it, and I'm gonna go crank up the AC and go for a ride once I get the ATF off my hands. The kickdown isn't hooked up. I did remember that the old kickdown wasn't adjusted quite right. If you were like cruising at just the right speed, it would kick down and then shift up, and then kick down and shift up, so it wasn't great before anyway, so not having it isn't going to be any worse. Like I said, I can grab the shifter and shift down if I really want to get after an old Reggie here, but I think all we're going to have to do is get a 2-barrel bracket bolted to the intake, and hopefully it doesn't interfere with the current throttle bracket, and should be fine to hook up. But for what I do in this thing, we don't really need a kickdown. She's not a powerhouse, the old 170 horse worn out 2-barrel 350, so we should be fine. You can leave a kickdown cable laying loose on a turbo 350, but like a 700 R4, that is a TV cable, throttle valve cable. You gotta have that hooked up, and you gotta have it adjusted properly, or bad things happen. You'll be going to the transmission shop and spending a bunch of money, or tearing it apart yourself if you're so inclined to be miserable. Update, dropping the tank in this thing for the, how many times have you done this?
Oh, several.
Several. You can never get a straight answer. It's never yes or no or 3. It's I suppose, or maybe we could, or
You know what?
what?
It keeps me out of trouble.
Keeps you out of trouble. Never commit. Anyway, Mickelson's here for the last time ever. Dang, look at all the room he's got up here. There goes the UPS man. Wonder what he brought us today. Oh, more Amazonia packages. Doesn't get any dust in that thing, at least. Well, Dickie, you ready to hit the road?
Ready to hit the road, Jack.
You even got your, you gonna put some shorts on? Florida, man, so you probably, did you like buy like a bulk supply of wife beaters?
Yeah, wife beaters, Crocs, and then, you know,
Just swimming trunks.
cut off.
Oh, jean shorts.
Yeah, jean shorts.
Jean shorts, custom camper. All right, well, if you see this thing along the road, say hi, because he's a real angry individual like me.
If you see me broke down, though,
For sure, stop.
maybe stop.
Send me a picture of it broke down on the side of the road if you see him. Get a camera right of his face. He'll like that. All right. Good luck.
Thanks, Dad.
It's been real and it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be swampy in that thing.
What's this thermometer at?
90 in the shade.
Yeah.
There's so many comments on the video about not only the lifestyle change, but the temperature, humidity, grossness change. So enjoy. Sarasota area?
Sarasota area.
Yeah, some guy from Wisconsin said, I got a shop in Sarasota, so swing in. Go
Hit
check
me up, Mr. Sarasota.
Go check out the comments. I think his name's Bob from Wisconsin.
Hey, Mr. Bob, hit up Mr. C.
Yeah.
We
Mickelson Racing Channel at yahoo.com.
something like that, yeah. Yeah. August_MRC on Instagram.
There you go. Find him on Instagram, because everybody uses Instagram.
That's the best.
I still got to get his U-Haul hooked up, but should be good to go. What are you going to get for mileage, you suppose, pulling that thing?
I'm hoping for double digits.
Set the bar high.
Like 10.1 would be double digits.
Yeah. Or even just a 10-0.
Even a 10.0 would cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
Don't worry, Mortske Repair is sponsoring the fuel on this trip. We just gave him a check for some fuel, so you should have enough to make it.
Oh, you got a big, like, 6-foot decal we can put on the box, sponsored by?
No, but I got some spray paint.
As long as you cover up the Bondo.
Florida or bust. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody spray painted on the side of this pickup. All right, we better get back to work. We better let him get on the road. He's got to make it to Kansas City by midnight. And he's got a half pack of cigarettes, full tank of fuel. I don't know, whatever the Blues Brothers said.
Sunglasses or something.
Oh yeah, sunglasses. It's daylight though.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
That Dickie, he's a good kid, brought us some peanut butter, chocolate, mocha, I don't know, some real good bars. Got the screwdriver and we get yours at mortske.com. Cleaned out the plug and we're gonna put a little limited slip additive because I guess it's barking around the corners. She's ready to go for you. Just pull the cap off, push the end, try not to spill it all over you because it's some stinky stuff. I'm gonna miss your musk.
I miss your scent. I miss your musk.
That bumper jack, that thing's good. Don't worry, we put jack stands under there too because all the weight of his Schwinn 3-speed in the back. Hey, you didn't tell me you were an RC car fanatic. You were when you were 16?
Yeah. How
Is
much
that
should I put in?
all of it?
Okay. Till it comes out?
Oh, it's not full?
Who'd have thunk?
Weird, I guess we better get some 80/90 to put in there too.
Oh, she's dribbling. She's dribbling.
Oh, now she's full? Okay. Which, sitting at this angle, it should be full when it's level, so good enough for who it's for. I'm sure that rear end won't be the issue that keeps you from making it to Florida, but I'm sure there won't be any issues. Well, there he goes. Once he gets past Chicago, we ain't got to go rescue him, right?
Right.
Oh, it looks so much better with that gas tank, not hanging like a droopy diaper. All right, let's get a fuel tank dropped for the 14th time. So this is just a stock 87 Chevy pickup sending unit. You got power and ground for the fuel pump, and then the ground is for the sending unit, and then there's a wire for the sending unit. It's got these adapters from Amazon to go through you just cut off the GM stock lines, and then there's a ferrule in here and you tighten it up and clamps on there. Seem to work pretty good, and then it adapts it to a AN style fitting. I don't see nothing there, do you?
No, I don't see nothing.
So what we found the last time was this line, the steel line goes about to here. There was a short rubber hose and it had popped off. But it does kind of look like it ballooned up a little bit, didn't it?
Looks like it. Got a little softer to it,
Well, here's our test stand. Folgers, the classic roast.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
It's America's #1 packaged ground coffee. And we got a pressure return going there. And we got our pump hooked up. We're gonna see if it leaks around that hose, I guess. Here goes nothing. All right, fired up. No leaks, it's returning fuel, it's pumping fuel. Doing what it should. I don't know, I changed the regular worm gear clamp out for one of these fuel injection clamps, this Mickelson calls them. So I don't know if that changed it or what, but I don't know what to tell you. Put her back together, I guess, see what happens. What'd you do, Mojo?
what did I do? I tried to get a broken off stud out of there. And I drilled it out and I tapped it.
And then you broke the tap.
My tap got lodged in the last part of it.
So the main seal was leaking. You can see she's a little pitted up. It's probably why it was leaking. So we probably could have used a new yoke anyway. But anyway, there was a bolt that was tight, but it wasn't tight. So when Mojo was taking it out, the bolt broke, and then he got the bolt out, and then he was tapping it out, and then he broke the tap. So we're gonna go do tow truck thing, see if we can't get a yoke. So this is I think they call them like TH475s. Anyway, it's a 400 yoke or a 4L80E yoke, but instead of being a regular slip yoke like this, it's got a bolt-on straps, and then it's got a bolt that goes through the center to hold it so it can't slide. So yeah. Good news is we just happen to have a motorhome out back that has a turbo 400 with a bolt-on rear yoke. And we're probably not going to be doing motorhome things this summer. So let's go get in our, get in Bernie. We got to get the unibody out of the way. Everybody says I hate Fords. We got a unibody, tow truck, Expedition, 71 Fords over there. We got Fords galore, don't we, Duff? So hot! Well, we got her in here, got her raised up. We'll throw some stands underneath it for safety and see if we can't retrieve a yoke. Maybe a whole drive line, we'll see. All right, got her all stuck back together. Everything swapped over perfectly. Now we just got to go fishing for Mojo's 11/16 wrench that went in the floor drain, because floor drain life. But hopefully that fixed the leak, but it's still wet around it. Apparently he's got Dex 6 in here, so we got to find some of that to top it off. Yeah, but fuel pump's back together, tanks in, yada yada yada. Well, let's test her out again. I'm real sick of limping this thing home, so hopefully it works. Well, I figured to put some miles on this thing. I bought some gas pumps off Facebook Marketplace. I wonder how heavy these are, because I don't have any help to load them other than Duff, who's got no thumbs. So let's see how this goes. The beauty of having a lowered pickup. See how much it came down just letting the air out of the bags? What a deal. Not light. get into the fuel pumps lately. There's a lot lighter things to collect. Wonder how much fuel was when these were last used. I would say these are from the 70s. Ooh, this one's got 2 faces on it. Kind of like most of the gals I've ever dated. Did not plan this load out. Should have brought some straps. Gonna make a little room over here. The old tall boy up there ain't gonna fit. All those games of Tetris are finally paying off. Get yourself a lowered long bed. You won't regret it. All right, let's go find something cold and refreshing to drink, like the water I got in the front seats, and pump up the airbags. That's a nice load of junk right there. That's a Tolkheim. That's a gas boy. Another Tolkheim. Yeah, good stuff. This was for, I think you could have keys and you could have charge accounts and you just had to have the right key and then they would mail you a bill at the end of the month. Pre-credit card days. All right, it's like 4 days later and we finally got caught up with everything else, gas pumps and fuel tanks and whatever else we've been working on, transmission woes. We finally got Dirt Reynolds on the lift. Let's get this thing lifted up. I got some parts over here. And here's the parts. We got some used front brake pads from Reggie. We got rear brake pads. We got axle seals. We got tacks. We got relays for the fans. So when you turn the key off, it actually dies. We got coolant hoses, fitting for the temp wire. All kinds of different fittings. I think these are for the steam ports. Rear calipers, front rear brake hoses. We had a master cylinder. We had to give that to Mickelson. Speaking of Mickelson, he left yesterday afternoon. He made her almost to Sioux Falls and he was starting to get some issues. He had a real bad exhaust leak, which was giving him bad O2 readings, I guess, and he had low voltage. He got the exhaust leak mostly sealed up. He said he loves headers. He can understand why I hate them now. And he's on the road, last I heard. I checked in with him a couple hours ago and said, how's things going? Haven't heard back. So he's either dead or smooth sailing down the road or so disgruntled with himself that he's not responding. But anyway, he's on his way to Florida, becoming a Florida man. All right, let's get Dirt Reynolds up in the air here and start wrenching. We probably drove too far ahead, but it'll be fine. Let's get the back wheels off, get those back brakes fixed. Why? I don't know, because, you know, this is a burnout machine. We don't need back brakes, but for safety. Park brake. We don't need no stinking park brake. We're gonna get rid of these stupid spring overloads, mainly because they're in the way for getting the caliper bolt out, and I don't like them, so they're going away. We determine we need them, we'll put them back on. But probably not. right, we got our helper springs out of there. Almost ripped my finger off. And now we got our brake caliper off, and we got our brake disc off. Pretty much the rotor just pops right off of there. And the reason I'm taking all that off is because this axle seal leaks. And we don't want to be getting our nice new tires, our Weld Pro Stars all full of gear oil. Plus I kind of want to see what kind of gears this has got in it. So we're going to pull the axles out. To pull the axles out on this 10 bolt, it's a C-clip style axle. So we got to pull the rear cover off, and we got to pull the cross pin out, slide the axle in, pull the C-clip out, and slide the axle out. I'll show you in a minute. And you can see just how greasy, grimy, gopher gutty this thing is. So we got to pull it apart to get that seal in there. Oh, there's a lot of nastiness going on in there. But now's the time to do it because you got to take the brakes apart to get the axle out. So we're going to do some preventative maintenance here, right? Well, maybe not preventative because it's already leaking. So while we're at it, we're going to do both sides. We've got to have all the tools out, and we got to have the rear end apart. And this axle's made just as many rotations as that axle. So now's the time to do it. So let's pull that side apart, and then we'll pull the cover off, pull some axles out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Only had to make like 9 trips to the toolbox for stuff I forgot. I forgot a hammer. First tool you gotta grab, a hammer. Sure enough, looks like this side is leaking as well. Who'd have thunk? Weird. It's just as old, spun just as many times, been through just as many heat cycles. So when you're doing things like brakes and wheel seals and stuff like that, do both sides. Because if one side's leaking, the other side ain't far behind. Wheel bearings, same way. Although I did have a 04 Chevy pickup. Put a wheel bearing in it like 80,000 miles. I sold it with like 150. Had a new one sitting on the shelf for the left-hand side. Never went bad, still on the shelf. Guy's still driving. All right, let's pull the rear cover off and make a mess. Oh, look at this. I thought I cut all the zip ties. Looks like I missed a couple. Who'd have thunk? All of the filtration. I think that's a filter, and that's a filter, and that's a pump. All held on by hopes and dreams. And a little bit of flux core. Hopes and dreams. All right, let's get this cover off. That's gonna make getting our diff cover off a little more difficult. The old difficult diff cover. Get our catch pan in place. Oh, I can smell the stink of diff lube already. Why is gear oil so stinky? Comment down below with why that is. Still not as bad as the Ford limited slip additive. That stuff is horrendous. That stuff looks like it's coming out purple. Somebody put some purple drank in there or what?
People don't have the privilege of knowing about grape juice because they have grape drink. It's not the same formula.
That's some nice clean purple stuff. There it is. Whoa! Look at that. Usually it's siliconed on. Somebody's actually got a gasket on there. That's a pretty rare occurrence. All right, now the fun part, seeing what gear ratio we got. 15 and 41? Ew. It's like 276s. There it is, 273s. Somebody commented, oh, all those cars came with 336s. No. Well, maybe it did, but I doubt it. 273s. And you can tell it's a posi or a limited slip or whatever GM calls them by the clutch pack here. Your standards. Diffs don't have that. So now there's a pin that comes through right here Gotta take this bolt out and then pop that pin out and go from there. And hopefully that pin comes out, because we've all been there where they don't come out and then you're drilling and hating life. Why they made these cross pin bolts be 5/16 or whatever, so, you know, like just put a 3/8 bolt in there. But no. Oh, please come out. Yes. Judging by the bite marks on there, somebody's been here before. Usually you can tell by how thick this gear is right here. Like if it's a 456, it'll be way thick. Since it's, you can see just how thin it is, being a 273 or 241. And then GM, in their infinite knowledge, made all different, I think there's 3 series of carriers. Maybe there's even 4. But anyway, there's multiple. So if you're like, hey, I'm gonna take my 273s and I'm gonna make them 456s, I'm just gonna buy a set of gears. Nope, you need a whole different carrier, because that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. So, got her bolt out. Now I like to turn it just as far as I can so that pin will slide out, which apparently is gonna be right there. And now, I don't know what to do. I haven't had a posi apart in so long. It's like riding a bike, huh? Oh my. So now can we just push in on the axles? Yeah. Slide in on the axle. Now fish that clip out of there. I got the tool for that! The old screwed by Mortske repair screwdriver. Get yours at mortske.com. This thing's getting a little worse for the wear. Not because of poor quality, but because of how handy I have found this thing. I'm using it all the time. We're not using the screwdriver end. We're using the magnetic end. Because believe it or not, she's got a pretty good little magnet on her. Come on, I was just bragging you up. Now just show me some love here. There we go. Look at that. Would you look at it? Just look at it.
And would you look at that? Would you look at that?
They call that a C-clip. No idea why they call it that, but I'd call it 2/3 of an E-clip. We're gonna do the same thing on the passenger side axle, I think. Hopefully, maybe. What is your problem? We gotta slide that one out the backside? Ugh. Huh. There we go. 2 C-clips down, now we just slide the axle out. Just like so, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Seal and the bearings stay right in there, so we just gotta pop the seal out, pop the seal back in, and we are ready to do more burnouts and less leaking on my driveway. Got the old Seal Maimer 1219 performance tool, part number W1219, wear eye protection. Yeah, right. We're gonna pop these sons of biscuits out. Hold on, let me go grab the new ones and see that they're wrong first. Looks like we got WJB Auto Parts, the professional source. WS, which I believe stands for wheel seal. Do not remove it until ready for assembly. Okay, we're ready for assembly, almost. Made in Taiwan. WS 8660S or 8660S for FM. SKF is a 13992. Yeah, that looks right. Good enough for the girls we go with. Hey, don't worry, we're working on that logo. Give her the old reach around with the old Seal Maimer 1219 and give her a kapowie. I said kapowie! Oh, hence why we call it the Seal Maimer. Just there we go. Oh yeah. Real good. Try not to ruin seals when you do that. Not because you can put it back in, because sometimes you can salvage a part number if you're looking for one. AKA don't do what I do. And they make seal drivers if you're a professional, which we are not. Come on. Go to your hole. Don't you know where your home is?
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Cheese and rice! This is why we can't have things. I'm gonna get angry. And you don't want to see me angry.
Mr. McGee,
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Oh, yeah. Take it. Boom. Ready to put her back together. Try not to run your axle shaft over your seal and maim that new seal. Heck, we might even wipe off the sealing surface. Or we might not. I know you guys and gals love seeing me clean my shafts. Oh yeah, that's the way I like it. You want to clean your shaft before you slide it in. A little lube helps too. Come on, take it. What's your problem? Yeah. Who's a good transmero bird? Now we just got to do the other side. Got this handy dandy magnetic camera holder we've been using for a while, and surprisingly this thing's got enough metal in the quarter panels beneath the body filler to hold a magnet for a camera. How neat is that?
How neat is that?
Give the old shaft a rub down here before we take it out. You want to go a twisting motion back and forth. Oh, for cheese and rice. There we go. Now you see these 10th anniversary cars came with a WS6 package, which got you disc brakes. If you had a regular 70 to 81 Camaro that didn't have disc brakes, or Trans Am, or Firebird, you wouldn't have to take the brakes all apart. You just have to take the drum off. Then you can slide the axle up. But no, we had to have disc brakes. Boom. Slip the old shaft in. I don't know if this is coming out on Monday or what day. Our schedule's really not that well, but happy Independence Day to all you teetotalers or whatever we're considered in the America of North. All right, let's put some C-clips in. I'd put this together, but then my luck we'd have to slide it back apart. So let's get them C-clips in, because sometimes they can be a real bugger. Hey, if you haven't, get yourself a magnetic Mortske koozie. Get yours at mortske.com. They are selling fast. By the time this video comes out, there's probably only about 20 left. Axles are slid too far in, so we put our C-clip in there with our C-clip installer tool, aka the Mortske screwdriver. Oh, maybe we'll just hold it with our finger. Tried to place that product in there, but we don't need it. Oh boy. You don't want to get your shaft in too far. There we go. Now we'll push her in place with the screwdriver. Once you got it all the way in place, slide the axle out so it should retain that C-clip. Slide the driver's side in. Hold her in there with our Mortske screwdriver. Oh, we slide it out with our left hand. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we gotta slide our cross pin in there. You can see it's got a hole on this end, not on this one. So we gotta turn it back to the way that it was. Oh my gosh. Yep, this end does not have the retaining bolt. This end does. There we go. And I'm gonna put a little thread locker on that bolt before we put it in. Because you do not want that bolt and or that pin to ever come out, or that's a bad day. Putting blue Loctite on there. Partly because that's what we have. Partly because the only other thing that we have is red, and red means forever, and we're not ready to commit to that relationship with this pin yet. I'm sure Old Wesley, he would say, you gotta torque this down to 18 foot-pounds because dollars to donuts, if you under torque it, it's gonna fall out, and if you over torque it, it's probably gonna snap and break, and then that's a bad day. That's what Watch West Work would say, but around here, ain't nobody got time for torque specs.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
We just give her the old wrist click. If you don't know what a wrist click is, I'll show you in a second here. I don't even know if we can get a wrist click. We get like a 4-finger click on this little guy. The old 2-finger click. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right, we're getting there. So close. Come on. I'm ready for you. All this rear end talk. See the old 2-finger click. Click. Oh, conveniently the rear end turns at the same time. Good to go. Now we're gonna clean up that diff just a little bit. Just a little bit. And we're gonna do the same thing with the cover. We're gonna stick it back on there with the gasket that's probably gonna leak, that I was so excited about. And we're gonna probably put some limited slip additive in there even. Look at how fancy this thing is. We've got a magnet in there. And it's pretty clean. I did not expect that. A lot of people wanted us to name this thing Grimace. The purple guy from Biting Flies. The purple guy from McDonald's, which conveniently he's made a huge comeback as of recent. Unfortunately, I don't have any problems with McDonald's other than the nearest one is 60 miles away, so we will not be supporting Grimace or using that name. I did see somebody with a picture of Grimace in front of some purple car and said, what if we pronounce Grimace like we do Versace? Grimace. That would be pretty cool. I think smelling all this gear lube is getting to me. Is gear lube bad for your health? It's probably not good to get on your hands. Maybe that's what all that purple stuff was leaking out the back. Grimace fluid. I would rather call this car Grimace than Grimace. Torque spec on these. Click. Click. You get the point. I don't have to do the rest of them for you. Or what's with these Milwaukee tools? Squeeze it once, doesn't do nothing. Squeeze it twice, it goes. Is mine broken? Or what? Now watch, I'll hit it again and it won't go. See, nothing. Comment down below if you know what the frick is wrong with my fuel brushless ratchet. I've been using it for like 2 years like this, so clearly it doesn't bother me that much. You always want to wipe your rear end when you're done. Everybody wants a clean rear end. Otherwise it starts to itch. Wait, that's something else. And now I pull out this plug here, right here, with a 3/8 drive, square drive, and we fill the old differential back up with 80/90 and a dab of limited slip additive. Hopefully we got some. We just gave some to Mickelson. We got 1 bottle left, 4 ounces. Limited slip axle lubricant additive, part number 10-4003 or 88-900-330. The good stuff. Old Wes, he taught me about the old Mighty Vac here. These things are way good for applications such as this. Slide the guts out, put the plug back on it, try not to spill everywhere. We dump that limited slip additive inside of this thing and then we squirt it right in there. Just like so. Four ounces. That's a lot. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Now, we're going to slide our rubber off first instead of after. And then we just give her the old money shot. Woo! Pow! Good to go. Uh-oh. Rubber fell off in the hole. Hopefully we can reach it. Got it. All right, we got the 80/90 in bulk, so we got that in a 5-gallon bucket with a pump. We'll fill her up. We're gonna move the drain pan so when it's overfull, it runs in there, so you don't make any more of a mess than we already have. And we will be ready to roll and rock. And the pan was in the wrong spot. Story of my life. 80/90 on everything. Perfect. Once she's done dribbling mostly, slam that plug back in. I don't know why you don't have to put thread tape on these pipe plugs, but I've never seen anybody do it. And it never seems to be an issue, which is weird because it's like the only pipe plug ever that doesn't. I suppose because there's no pressure. I don't know. I'll wipe up our soilage. I'm ready to put some brakes on. Okay, reverse procedure from how we took it apart, right? Rotor. Come on now. Kind of reverse procedure. Was a pain coming off? Pain going on. I gotta fix for that though. Yeah, take that. So we got some new-ish, I'm guessing they're reman calipers. And they even came with new bolts. Pretty excited about that, not gonna lie. Because you saw just how rusty the old ones were that we had to heat and take out, but don't worry, we'll save them. Throw them in our stash. Gramachi still gets me. But they do not give you any room to get by the old leaf spring with this bottom bolt on this side. And then of course, there's no room to put a freaking ratchet on it. Look at this. I got these stubby Allens. I think I got them at an O'Reilly's years ago. They're made by Power Torque. I tell you what, I haven't used them a ton, but they're one of them tools that they are freaking handy when you do use them. They're like stubby wrenches. They are gonna work just perfect for this application. I don't know that I have a single other Power Torque tool in my entire tool collection. They were, I think, even in the bargain bin at old O'Reilly's one day. You always gotta check the bargain bin. There might be something there that you don't need. Kind of like women with shoes, you know? Okay, this is almost too short. That's what she said. Are those things 10 millimeter, not 3/8? Probably. Good thing I got suckered into buying the metric set when I was there too, huh? Okay. Scratch that. Was it just the poor quality of these bolts? Gall length 3/8 don't fit in there and nothing else even grabs. Ah, for cheese and rice. I might be using the old bolts. Look at this. What is the manufacturing quality these days? Just bragging these Power Torques up. Look at this. My 3/8 Craftsman, back when they were made in America, fits right in there. Hee-hoo! The old 3/8 Power Torque. Not so much. I just got done bragging you up. Now freaking do your job. Here, a little touch up of the old flat disc. See if that helps. Such a dumb design. Why put the bolt right at the leaf spring? We gotta put our sweet little banjo to steel brake line adapter, wherever that goes. Again, excellent product placement, GM. Can't even get at the dang thing. Make sure you slide your banjo bolt through with one washer on there. Slip the other washer to the other side. And you're back in business. If you don't drop it. And you can get it started. And you don't cross thread it. And you can get a wrench in there. Now you're gonna tell me I should have put this bolt on before I installed the caliper. Apparently these don't have a hose on them, which usually calipers, since they float, require a hose. Anywho, the fitting's coming out a different spot, so we need to do a little modification here. Don't worry how we're modifying it either, because that's not the right way. Clamper in place, that line ain't going anywhere.
He's going nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
All right, one more side to go. All right, so usually I don't bash the old rock auto, which is pretty wild considering I bash about everything I'd get my hands on. But I have the same part number calipers. One's an AL and one's an AR, R and L. The other one was fine. This one is nowhere close to what this guy is. And you can see, you know, that's the same brake pad. That brake pad does nothing in there. And somebody could have bought these and returned them and put the wrong one in there. Who knows? But and then the through bolts should go like all the way through these floating caliper bolts, and they don't. So we're gonna put that one in the box, and guess we're gonna come back and put a caliper on it another day. And this thing is, she is smoked. Where's that brake pad at? She's seen better days, been the star of many plays, but it's gonna have to hold for now. God dang it. Just can't win today. We're just gonna have to go get a sandwich and relax in some air conditioning. I'm sure somebody will say, but Mortske, just run to the parts store. Well, it's Saturday on a holiday weekend. And most of the parts stores are only open till noon on Saturday around these parts anywho. And noon was a long time ago. So, man, you can see the paint. This thing's been hot, hot, hot. Probably why it was leaking. All right, wheels are back on. She is set on the ground. You might want to look away because things are going to get ugly for you purists. But this thing sits way too nose high. The back sits about right. The center of the fender, or the fender, well, centered with the wheel, sits at 29 inches in the back. It's good, right? Guess what the front is? It's not higher, but it's the exact same, 29 inches. And I like my stuff to have a little bit of rake. Plus we got a big tire in the back, small tire in the front, so it looks like a gasser. It looks like it's got a straight axle, looks like it's four-wheel drive, nosebleed type stuff. So, I got 1.5 inches of clearance in the back, or like 1.25 inches actually, between the tire and the wheel. So that should be the same all the way around. We got 4.5 inches in the front, so we got to come down a solid 3 inches. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift this thing up, we're gonna cut a coil, maybe two, we'll see what happens. And guess what, if we cut a coil and it doesn't work out right, it's too much, you just throw a coil back in it. Or not a coil, put a new coil spring back in it. So easy peasy lemon squeezy, you ain't really out nothing. Get the torch out. You can split the ball joints and do it with a chop saw and a reciprocating saw, death wheel, if you will. But I like the torch because that way I don't have to split the ball joints. Because I'm lazy, or I'm just real smart. Probably lazy. All right, let's do this. Got her up in the air, turn the wheel so we can get some access to what we got to do here. And A lot of people are like, oh, you can't cut coils, it screws up your suspension geometry. Yeah, it does. But have you ever put drop spindles in and not needed an alignment afterwards? Or drop shackles? Well, never mind, you wouldn't do drop shackle. Well, you could do drop shackles in the front of a straight axle or something with leaf springs. Or if you do tubular control arms with drop control, it's gonna need an alignment is what I'm getting at. And a spring has got the same, what is it, the K factor, the spring rate, whether that spring is this tall or whether the spring is this tall. And people are gonna argue with me, but if you heat it up, you're gonna change that spring rate. I do not condone heating up springs. Any of them, coil springs, especially leaf springs. But cutting them, your spring rate stays the same. If you take a Bic pen apart, get your Bic pen at mortske.com, right there, and you take it apart and you get that spring out of there, tell me you've taken a Bic pen apart. But if you test the tension of that spring, or what it takes to compress it, at full length, or you cut it in half, and you take the spring rate to compress it, it's the same. Am I gonna lose some suspension travel? Absolutely, and I'm fine with that. But it's gonna ride the same way as it does. Everyone's like, oh, your lowered stuff rides terrible. No, most of it doesn't, because like on a flip kit, like that thing, provided it's not on the bump stops after the flip kit and you got a C-notch or whatever, you're using the same spring as you had before. And sometimes you're taking springs out, so it rides even better. So everybody that says the theory of lowered vehicles ride terrible is not wrong, because some lowered vehicles do ride terrible if done improperly. But done properly, cutting a coil, nothing improper about it. It still works. And like I said, you go and spend a few bucks on some new coil springs if you screwed up. Whatever. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. But anyway, spring, K rate, K factor. Look it up. Go ask Wes. He likes that engineering terminology. But we're going to cut a spring in this. But one thing I did notice is the guy that I got this from, this car, someone said that it needs steering work, and the guy never said anything. Whatever, I'm gonna bash the previous owner. He said it needed steering work. I'm not really, because he said it needs steering work. And I was wondering, how can it need steering work? Ball joints, tie rod ends, what's it need? Steering box loose? This thing drives pretty great. I think I might have found it. So this is your steering gearbox back here, which is leaking. So, steering needs fixing on a leak. So there's that. But there should be 3 bolts here holding the gearbox on. See, there's only 2? Yeah, one of them's broke off, which, like Puddin says, if 2 don't get you there, 3 never would have. So I'm not really concerned about it. Are they all gonna break off? Probably not. Did this rust off? Probably, so I'm guessing these ones are not far behind. So we'll put it on the list to get a steering gearbox or a rebuild kit, and we'll put that in there, and we'll put a new bolt in it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And no, before anybody says, just put a bolt in it now, well, there's a bolt broke off in it. It didn't back out. It's freaking snapped off in there. Just our standard, I think they're 7/16 bolts. But yeah, that gearbox is leaking. So is the one in Reggie. Like every gearbox around here, I think the LS1 has a brand new gearbox in it. And so that one's not leaking, but you can see where in the wheel and the frame where it'd been leaking before, and that's why that guy replaced it. The 92 C1500, that 92 black Chevy short bed that we lowered, because that's what we do. We do with the square body. That one was leaking, but we resealed it successfully. Or Mojo did anyway, because he's got the patience for that type of stuff. So you can reseal these. I haven't had very good luck, but the kits are super cheap. So if you put it in and it doesn't work, you're just out some time, unfortunately. But steering gearbox are kind of expensive, and the quality of parts these days from the aftermarket is a little lackluster, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'd try resealing your gearbox before I would go buy a new one, because you can ask Puddin about his experience with power steering boxes. Not power steering box, power steering pumps, but they all leak too. Oh yeah, we had to put one of those on that 92. Everything I got leaks. That's the beauty of these LS's. They don't really leak. They're good about rear main seals, front mains, the spots that always leak on your typical small block Chevy. Don't get me wrong, the 87 and 95, the one-piece rear main seals are way better, but they still like to leak everything. But these LS's are usually pretty dang good for leaks, even if they're a 6 leaker. I don't know why anybody calls them that, but it seems like the rear main seal on all the 6 liters I got they're moist, but they don't leave a spot. One other thing is, they're what I call the pigtail. The end of the spring kind of winds down a little bit. And you want to cut it, so say the end of the leaf spring, the coil spring is right here. You want to cut it right there. I try to line them up all the time. And an easy way to figure out where they are is look at this spring pocket. You can see how it dips down right here. So the end of that spring is right there. So instead of cutting one off, because they're pretty much stacked on top of each other, we're going to cut two. See how far it goes. Oh my gosh, another zip tie that I missed. I cut all those ones off in the back because it bothered me though. And guess what? I'm going to cut that one too. And I'm going to trim the one next to it that somebody had already trimmed but didn't trim enough. Is there any more of you buggas under here? I'm sure there are, some hiding out somewhere. So now I'm going to turn the wheel so that I can get at the spring right where that pocket is. I'm going to mark it with my paint marker, and I'm going to cut it with the torch. 2 coils. There's only Sally's like, Land Shark Garage cuts 1 coil. He's like, I got an inch. I'm like, 2 coils, man. That's where you start. That's what we did on Chin's pickup. That's what we did on that K5 two-wheel drive blazer conversion. 2 coils. That's money. And usually when you cut that coil out, I'll cut it right where I need it to be, and then you'll have to cut that coil or 2 in another spot to fish it out of there. So that is one disadvantage of not splitting the ball joints, is that you got to cut that coil spring a couple times, or if you split the ball joints and take the shock out and put that coil on the bench and cut it with your death wheel, the whole coil falls off. So it takes a little bit more oxygen to do it. Other thing to be careful is there's a lot of grease and dirt in there, which can catch fire. But also if you think that you're cutting just 1 coil, there might be another coil hidden down there in the dirt that you're not thinking of. So you think you're cutting 1 coil, but you actually are cutting the second one because the other one's hidden in the dirt. Don't ask me how I know this, but the thing ended up perfect ride height when we did that. Or maybe not, maybe it ended up too low. It's after 5, it's sandwich time. It's just torching fluid, that's all it is. Get your magnetic koozie at mortske.com. It's real good in these swampy weather times that we have now. Global warming, right, Greta?
How dare you?
Let's see if we can't burn up a lens on a second GoPro 8 in 2 weeks. That'd be great, huh? Yes, we have a replacement lens on order. No, GoPro doesn't recommend it. Literally the hardest part of this is fishing all the remnants out of there. Again, don't be lazy like me. Split the ball joint. Here's a real test of brute strength. Let's see if the Mortske screwdriver magnet is strong enough to pull that pigtail out of there. Definitely not. Oh, maybe. No. It is not. Step up our game to the dedicated magnet. What the French? Oh, got half of one out of there. Now we're gonna get the rest of it. We blew a hole in our shock. Definitely. Never done that before.
Later.
Whew! It is too swampy to be running a torch and cutting in tight quarters and prying around with bars and working up a sweat. Sandwiches are gonna taste delicious tonight. But anyway, we got 2 coils cut on each side. Found it was easier to just take the shock out of there. Get that out of the way, so then you had room to drop stuff out the bottom, and you could stick a bar all the way through. And that shock was shot after we got a hold of it, and the other shock was shot already too, so we're gonna need some shocks. But we sprung into action here and got that taken care of. Let's set her on the ground and see what we got, eh, Duff? Yeah, he's out laying in some air conditioning somewhere or something. I think she's down there because, yeah, we gotta use the floor jack to get it off the lift. That's how you know you did it right. Oh boy. Can't even fit underneath the fairing. She's low, boys and girls. Oh, we still got suspension. We're gonna need shocks for sure. Let's get her outside and take a look at it. Well, I had some shocks. Well, the springs are off, but the rear springs off that 74 Camaro that we did way back in the day. Today, Duff Dog and I are see if we can't get a 1974 Chevy Camaro running. What does it do, donuts? Anyway, the shocks are for the rear, so we can't put those on the front, so we're not gonna get shocks on it this video. But man, alive. Look at that thing, Duff. Some big old Larry Hoovers on the back.
I done put them big meat Larry Hoovers on the back. 305 come alive, boy. Them jumbo humerals on that unit.
The old purple dragon. It's looking good, Duff. She is down there. So I measured it up and it went from 29 to 25 and a half. So that is what? 3.5 inch drop. So we had 4.5 inches in here. So we should have about an inch. It's gonna be tight, but that tire size looks good. I think we'll get some tires coming, get some shocks coming. Yeah. Pretty excited. Got axle seals fixed. We gotta get a freaking caliper. But it's a lot better car than it was when we picked her up, right? I'm not gonna go for rip tonight because I had a couple too many sandwiches, but tomorrow is another day. Look at the transmural bird's got the bird fecal matter on it. Duff, you don't get excited about bird fecal matter. He just wants to go for an RID. Not tonight, pal. Let's just sit back, enjoy a couple more, admire this thing in the North Dakota sunset. Yeah, that thing looks so much better. Wheels, tires, stance. Like, I wish we could insert a clip right here of this car when we got it and how it looks now. Before and after. Don't you think that thing looks way better? Matching wheels, right wheel and tire size, stance. We fixed that. Just like on that thing. Wheels and tires and stance, make or break it. That thing don't look bad. Just think if that thing had, you know, a hood on it and some decent body work and paint, you know? You can imagine it if you squint real hard. Duff can see it. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna go consume some adult beverages because it's too hot to be running a torch around here.
It's too damn hot for a penguin to be just walking around here.
All right, next day we're back here and this thing's leaving a little puddle on the ground of coolant because of the menagerie that we have for the steam port and for the coolant sensor. This mess here that I don't like, and that's close to the belt and you can see the puddle. Plus, our temp sensor is on the opposite side of our thermostat. So in the previous video where it's like, man, this thing runs super cool. Well, yeah, of course it's not gonna heat up over here until it heats up over there and the thermostat opens. So we're gonna fix that leak, and we're gonna hopefully move the steam port up to here. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly, but that's where it should be. And then we're just gonna plug that, and we're gonna move the coolant sensor to the back of the head. There's a port back there, and there's a port on the front of the head on this side, but the computer's using that port. And we got this fancy adapter that goes from whatever the metric crush washer style fitting to the sending unit that all these mechanical gauges use. But the problem is it's tucked way down in there, and those guys couldn't even get that rear header bolt in there, right there, and the hole that we need is even further back. So airbox is in the way, which is unfortunate for said HVAC box. Oh yeah, I took away this ugly switch that they had in line for the fans on the tranny cooler. And of course that fell apart because it's some cheap piece of hot garbage. So we just plugged it for now. But we can also, so we're gonna get rid of that air box. Long story short, there's no good way to get rid of them other than to pull everything apart, inner fender, fenders, pull the engine to get it all the hardware to save it. So we're gonna do the bad way. The only way that I know. Probably a Sawzall and a sledgehammer and a whole lot of misery, because that's what you folks seem to enjoy. And I enjoy being miserable. So, we're gonna fix that leak. We're gonna get the temp center in the correct spot. Another option for the temp center is you can get these aftermarket things that plug into the OBD2, because the computer already has the temp going to it. So you can plug in this display for the OBD2 and get all your readouts and check gauge and stuff, but those things are like $300-400. And we already got this, so we're just gonna do that. We don't need the HVAC box for what we're doing. It'll clean up the engine bay. And plus we'll be able to run those tranny cooler lines back there and yeah, just clean things up a bit. Maybe, we'll see. Or we'll make a mess and we'll be contemplating our life decisions, which is more likely than not. So hopefully we don't wreck any tranny cooler lines or our nice headers or the wire harness in the process, but let's make a mess. Let's do what we can. So first you just take out all the hardware you can get out of there, and then you give up, and then you grab your gloves and your safety goggles and the HVAC removal tool, and you let her rip, tater chip. This is not shown in the service manual. Here we go. Oh yeah. Just the way we wanted it to come apart. If you ever want to put this back together the way it was, you can do it with it's fiberglass, so just go to your local boat store and get fiberglass repair, resin and kitty hair and all that, you're good to go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And we should be able to get tens of cents from the scrappers for this evaporator here, for sure. Yeah, just a money-making machine, this old dirt Reynolds here. I'm gonna try to keep the chunks large pieces like this. It'll make reassembly much easier. Should have had a counter going instead of like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a lollipop.
1, 2, 3, 3.
How many licks does it take to get an HVAC box removed from a 70 to 81 F body? You know, if this would have been a factory heat only car, probably wouldn't be having this issue, because it seems like it's the HVAC or the AC stuff that's way bigger. She just takes up a lot more real estate than a heater only. So much more room for activities.
So much aerobics in here. So many activities.
Oh, what do you know? Another zip tie that's not trimmed off. They just keep on a-coming. Oh yeah. All the room in there. Should we get rid of the... we'll leave the heater core hoses and such. Whoops! Still some coolant in that guy. Alright, I changed my mind. I really like this hammer deal. Such a good time. Now I see why Whistling Diesel enjoys his job so much. Speaking of old Whistling Diesel, I got this 54 Mercury out front. I'm asking $3 grand for it. It's got new exhaust, new tires, wheels are blasted and painted, all new brakes, all new fuel tank, rebuilt fuel pump. I probably have $700 into that fuel pump by the time it was all said and done. Rebuilt carburetor, hoses, belts, plugs, wires, all that stuff. Runs drives, needs a little bit of finishing touches, but she's pretty much good to go. Like, get all the lights working, either convert it to 12 volt or just leave it as 6 volt, whatever. $3 grand. I got more than that in parts, eating a bunch of time and labor. And what I'm getting at is, if somebody doesn't buy that thing pretty quick, we're just gonna like take a monster truck or the telehandler and just pick the thing up and drop it for views, because I don't want it. It's just sitting there rotting away. So might as well make some money on a video as opposed to letting it sit there and rot away. So somebody buy that thing, pick it up near Gwinner, North Dakota. Hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. Somebody else needs that car, needs to go away. Or we're gonna do some Whistling Diesel stuff with it for the views. And I hate to do that, but I think it would probably get more money out of that than I would selling it. So that's unfortunate. All right, back to doing Whistling Diesel things here. What's this, the blower motor? How are you supposed to get that out of there? Like, it's loose, but there's no way that thing's gonna fit. I bet replacing one of these blower motors on one of these cars would be absolutely horrendous. Really? Ah, it's wedged in there far enough that it shouldn't rattle anymore. Or any less. There's gonna be chunks of fiberglass all over when we hit a bump the first few times. If you really wanted to, you know, seal up the interior, you could put a plate over this, but there's that blend door there, should be fine. But this little Allen bolt is what we gotta get out of there, and we gotta put our adapter in there, and that's where we're gonna hook up our temp sender. I suppose we could put a header bolt in there too, you know, while we're at it. But probably not. First thing, I think we'll unhook all this stuff and try to catch the coolant that we can and get that all plugged off, and then it should drain the fluid low enough so when we pull that other plug out, we don't make more of a mess, because we're all about the environment here, believe it or not. You know, and that's why we're getting rid of air conditioning, because air conditioning is bad for the environment. Oh, that won't even fit under the cross member. Oh boy, she's low. This looks like a handy dandy application for the Mortske repair screwdriver. Of course it is. Handier than a shirt with pockets. The steam vent does not want to release. There we go. Just gonna plug that hole back up. I'm pretty sure that it's not pipe thread. Oh boy. No wonder it was leaking. Cripes. I'm gonna have to go look for a different thermostat housing, because I don't know what type of fitting we're supposed to use to plug that. And this one is, yeah, it's definitely not 3/8 pipe. Son of a biscuit. Wonder if I got an extra thermostat housing laying around in my collection. That might put a damper on things. I'll see what I got. So here's what I come up with for my stash. This is a stock thermostat housing. I believe it was off that 49 Ford because we put a indexable one on there, or maybe it was off of the Cowboy Cadillac. Go check those videos out if you haven't. But you can see it's pretty dang close to the way that it's angled. I think this one's angled more towards the radiator, but so I don't know if this came from a van, and like I said, that one's got this boss right in there, threaded something or other. If we had the right fitting, we could swap it out, but I only got like pipe thread mainly, so let's just take her off of there and see. Let's take the hose clamp off first. Yeah, good call, dum-dum. The previous owner never really stated what, oh, maybe that's why it runs so cool, because there was no thermostat in here. That's interesting. Well, hopefully this fits up. He's got that O-ring used in there, so technically there. I gotta get my 2 fingers here, hold on a second. Reusable, should reseal. Guess we'll find out. What just dropped? Is that a washer? We don't need no stinking washers where we're going. All right. So yeah, you can see how this one, I don't know if that hole's supposed to be oblong like that. Oh yeah, they definitely hogged that out. This thermostat housing is off of something else. Hogged that out, and then it had that fitting there. Looks like there was some type of taper seal that should have been present that wasn't. Okay, now let's see if our... Uh-oh. Now I see why it was on there. Dagnammit. This diameter is larger than this hose. Who'd have thought a Honda radiator would have a different size radiator hose than a LS. The plot thickens. Good news is it would be very easy to remove said Honda radiator because it's held in by zip ties. But this is snowballing. Okay, let me do some thinking here. Let's just back up and let's fix the temp sender. We can always put that other one back on and somehow find a way to plug it. What do we need here? Should be an Allen wrench. Yep, I think. I was gonna show you what kind of fitting that was, or plug, but it's on the floor. She's gone forever now. It'd be the same thing as this, but a plug. See, it's got this crush washer that it's supposed to seal. You shouldn't have to put any pipe dope on it. And then it just adapts to what you need to put a regular style temp sending wire on, temp gauge. We should probably find a way to tie up this dipstick so that it doesn't snap that off. Maybe, I don't know. Probably shouldn't be rubbing against it anywho. Don't snap. There we go. I'll just use the plug wire to hold the transmission dipstick up. That seems like a better idea. Let it rub on that. I know what the previous owner would have done. Got some zip ties. Oh, they cut the frickin' mounting tab off. Just my luck. What if we can sneak it by that HVAC bolt? Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. Put a little zip tie on there. It'd be golden. We're lowering ourselves right back to the standards that this thing came from. Except for the fact that we trim off zip ties around here. Tech tip of the day, always circumcise your zip ties. God, that even rhymes. Oh man, we're gonna have to use that quote all the time. Circumcise zip ties. I need to get out more often. All right, where's our transmission? Our temperature probe. Fish her out of here through the engine mount. Oh yeah. Come on now. There we go. Let's get her on the back side of the dipstick here. Maybe. Come on now, work with me, baby. Oh yeah. keep her out of harm's way. These things seat on a taper, so you don't need any pipe dope on them. So don't put pipe dope on them. I hate when people do that. It's completely unnecessary. And what the French? I don't think that's gonna seal. I think we got duped on this adapter. It's not for what I thought it was. This is ludicrous. I swear that that adapter was for this guy right here. I mean, it looks like it's pretty close, but it's not. It's like something I can't read. LS engine swap, M12, something ... to LQ1, LQ4, LQ9, LR4. Well, god dang it. I guess we're not gonna have a temp. It's an LS. We can just run it nuclear, it'll be fine. Guess we'll take that back out and have to go find the plug that's laying on the floor somewhere. Cooler heads have prevailed. So this adapter, which I thought would be something else, you gotta have that adapter to go from that crush washer M12 something or other to 3/8 pipe, and then you gotta have a 3/8 pipe adapter on top of it. Like, why couldn't they just machine this so it starts here and ends like this? So I'm gonna put some pipe dope on this. You can see how that's got that taper in there, and this is just threaded. So this is gonna look horrendous hanging off the side of the engine block, but whatever, hopefully it seals, and we got a temp gauge. So I retract my previous statement about, you know, this thing not reading real temperature because a thermostat was installed, because it turns out there was no thermostat. Well, isn't that hideous? An adapter to an adapter. But that's the thing I don't like about, not so much LS swaps, just engine swaps and installs in general. Like stuff like that, you know, keep it clean. And I'm sure they make an adapter that has that thread and that thread on it, so we could remove one connection and not have something so hideous. Or you could probably buy a temp gauge that has the right sender that just plugs right into the head, and that would be ideal. But it's what we got. I'm sorry. You get your hopes up for some real high quality work on this channel, and we always fail you. Okay, I'm gonna actually go find a bolt to put in that header, because you know I love headers, taking care of them. You don't suppose they don't have a bolt in there because there's one snapped off. Sure enough, when they had the engine out, yep, there's a bolt snapped off in there. It is totally notorious for the LS's to break off exhaust manifold bolts on the front and the rear of the engine. Well, they had the engine out, they didn't fix that, so. Oh man, you can see the gasket loose in there too. Son of a biscuit. No, so that's gonna be a terrible exhaust leak, but I'm not about to chase that bolt out of there today. At least we got more room to do it now, when we never do it. Every time you do an LS swap, check all these bolts and fix them when you got them out. They're not any fun, but they're a whole lot less fun when they're in the car. Anybody who's done one in a Chevy pickup can attest to that. God dang it. There again. Half arson things around here. Oh well. I just removed all that with a screwdriver, so I had to take one hose clamp off the air intake. Oh, never mind. Side cutter, had to trim the wire off. Oh, and we had to take the ground wire off. But anyway, you get it. It was all zip tied in place. Oh, look at they drilled some holes, and they even set her on some O-rings for some bushings on the bottom. What a deal. But we could alleviate a few issues. We could get rid of the electric fans, and we could put this guy on there, because I like mechanical fans. I don't know if that's gonna work. That's gonna hit the terrible terrible air box that they got on there. So we're gonna have to do something there, which I'm not opposed to, because that thing is horrendous. An old Napa Todd dropped off that 88 to 94 GMC, I think it's a 92. And it's got a pretty decent radiator in it. He pulled the petcock plug out and left it on his bench, so I had to scrounge one of those from another one of our donors. But the radiator hose. We could eliminate the trans cooler too if we really played our cards right. And we could probably run our, that's for the heater hose on an 88 to 98, but we could probably run our steam vent to that. Let's see how bad this thing sticks up. I'm thinking the stock Trans Am radiators are pretty similar. Let me do a little wrestling. Yeah, it sits about right. Daddy Longlegs, because Longlegs wasn't a kinky enough name for a spider. Oh, come on. This thing was, oh, it's got, we can shave that off of there. Yeah, we can. Maybe. Watch me screw it up. That's what seems to be hidden. GM used these same radiators dimensionally for like eternity, I think. Maybe she's a bit too wide. Get a light down there and see what's going on. Now we can take a little bit more off. We might have to get some fine-tuned tools for that though. Of course the batteries did. Who puts the freaking tools back with dead batteries? Oh, is that all we needed? I suppose we could trim the core support if we really needed to, but I think we can make do with that. Oh yeah, like a glove.
Like a glove.
Oh, that thing is real nice. We just get some fresh zip ties, or better yet, we could probably even get some factory GM hold downs. Now we need some radiator hoses. So here's another epiphany I had. The stock 99 to 06 radiators on these cross flows, the radiator hose kind of loops up over here and then comes all the way over here. So I thought, I probably got one of them laying around. I'm pretty sure they're using the top radiator hose from one of those on the bottom. So we should be able to use that. And then hopefully we can, that's the problem with the mechanical fan, is that hose is gonna get in the way. But let's see what we can round up for a lower radiator hose here and go from there. I think this radiator will work pretty good. Looks way better than the other one. Worst case scenario, we have to put electric fans on this one. Look at this. I don't know what this radiator hose is, but it's about perfect, other than it isn't. If this thermostat housing pointed straight down, if we had an indexable one, but I don't think I have a spare one laying loose. But guess where there is one? On the old F1 here. So let's steal it off of that. And while I was looking for that, I was looking at the one that's indexable on this thing. If you're doing LS swaps, just have an indexable one on hand. This thing's got kind of a rattle. I was trying to figure out what it was. Look at this. This just keep on coming. It shouldn't do that. And it also runs a little bit warmish at an idle. So good thing we grabbed that fan so that we can knock this one off of here and put another one on. So everything's just going great. I think I got one of them kits for knocking that fan off there that goes on your fancy air hammer, but now we gotta find that. Remember where we put that at, Duff? I don't even think we've used it yet. All right, so I'm gonna steal the thermostat housing off of this guy. We're gonna put on there and see how that works, how it lays out. We just can't catch a break around here, so I took the thermostat housing off of that thing. It's chrome, I don't like it. I like the billet aluminum one on the crew cab better. But see, it's got this O-ring here. Well, that's not going to seal against anything. So and there's no thermostat, so I assume the thermostat is what we need to seal it. So that isn't going to do us any good. It's just going to be a giant leak. Man, how this snowballed. What did it? Yeah, we just had a leak at the front of the thermostat housing. Now it went to hoses and fans and intakes and radiator hoses. But anyway, I remember that Brent, that half-ass, said, yeah, you can just spin it however you want and then just put a washer on the bolt and clamp it in there. It works just fine. He does it all the time. So anyway, we got this stock lower radiator hose off something. I'm guessing small block Chevy of this vintage. So we're gonna see if we can't cut that, sneak that on there. And we might have to put a little bit of notch on there to get the bolt in the bottom side. And then we'll just put a washer on there and clamp it in place. Long term, I'd like to get a better one of these indexable ones like we got on the Cowboy Cadillac. And we'll put a thermostat in there and everything will be good. But for now, it should be leak free and have a thermostat in it, so it should be golden. And no flexi hoses. We're getting closer, eh, Duff? So this is a stock radiator hose for a 99 to 06. And you can see they used most of it, but there ain't quite enough there. So, of course I had a new one laying around because they're pretty handy for cutting up and using for stuff like that because they got a lot of bends in them. Got that bottom one fit up. We got our thermostat housing tightened down. Cobbled up some adapters for hooking up the steam vent too, but I think I'm gonna put this as far as I can up here because I'm gonna need a different hose anyway. Hey, are you guys really trying to frickin' make a house in here? If you could keep the birds out while I'm trying to work, that'd be great. Cheese and rice. I need pudding here chasing birds away. Get out of here, birds! So like I was saying, I think that's 5/8. I need to run a 5/8 heater hose from here to about here. Tape these up, and then that's gonna be my adapter. I know I got a thing that you could splice in here, but I really don't want to cut apart that nice new hose. And this can be changed later. Easy enough. And then we just gotta tighten up everything, clamp the radiator in place, and then figure out our fans. If we gotta use the Honda fans, or if we can run a stock fan, which I don't think we can because the center of the fan is gonna be about right there. So I think we're stuck with electric. You could probably run a mechanical fan if you didn't run 6-inch lift engine mounts, but that's what makes this thing so cool. Just kidding, I never said that. Okay, I'm gonna make that hose, get some clamps, get all that figured out, and then we're gonna figure out fans. And then if we run electric fans, then we don't have to worry about the air intake. We can just plop it back there like it was. Less yapping, more hose clamping. Got it. Well, looky here what Duff and I found. Remember when we put a brand new radiator in the, what is it, a 74 Chevy Blazer? We converted it to two-wheel drive. Well, the new radiator came with an electric fan, and I'm like, I don't run no electric fans, because that thing was already set up for a mechanical fan, but we saved it. And guess what? It fits perfectly. This radiator. So I made a couple notches down for it to sit into in the bottom of the core support, and now we just gotta find a way to clamp it up here, Jed clamp it.
Well, doggy.
So, easy way would be to zip tie it, drill a hole and zip tie her there, or drill a hole through there, but I might do a little body by Mortske on this rib and see if we can't, you know, bolt something in place that looks slightly better than zip ties. Yeah, that actually fits in there way too well for not having spent anything. Stuff we had laying around. Even the radiator hose we had laying around. Well, we bought that, but we're not breaking the bank. I think the most expensive thing we bought so far is the brakes and that adapter down there. All right, we'll do some body work. Take note how precise and skillful we are here. You're gonna wanna grab your best body hammer and you'll push your radiator away, so you be sure to smash a hole in that. Don't blow any of the debris out of it before you start. Just massage it ever so lightly. It's really tacoed in the middle here for some reason. The previous owner, he was a real good body guy as well, so we'll just make it flow right along with his body work. Oh yeah. We'll even do a little fine tuning with the hammer and dolly here. Get real professional. The sad part is, what I'm doing here is what you're gonna get at a lot of body shops, so. If you think I'm a hack, you probably don't want to see behind the scenes at a lot of body shops. Don't get me wrong, there's some good ones. Take out that low spot. We need a body by Mortske logo made up too. Oh, that is almost too sweet right there, Duff. Man, if we just, well, there's an idea, huh? Wonder if we just flatten these out, bolt right through it maybe? If we were good at aluminum, we could just weld some new tabs on right here, use those existing holes, easy peasy lemon squeezy, but Ain't nobody got time for that around here. Not on this gym, anyway. Maybe we give her some Mickelson style clamps. Nothing but the finest. Angle on here. What have we got here? Oh yeah. That'll work fantastic. Let's cut the bottom elbow off of this. Couple of, oh man, we could do it across the whole mediator. Wouldn't that be something? Now we're on to something. All right, let's get the death wheel out. Do some cutting. How can we cut it nice and straight though? If only we had a shear. Death wheel it is. Make sure to put our body hammer away. Now we're cooking with gas. Get rid of these existing mounting tabs. Give our new body panel a touch up with the old flap disc. Oh, look at that. Around the edges. Drill a couple holes, hopefully in the right spot. Look at how clean that is now. We even hid most of our body work. Winning!
Some are saying that you're bipolar.
I'm winning.
Oh, we could really be pudding-esque and put some bead rolling in it too. Wouldn't that be something? We should change the name of Dirt Rentals to It's Not That Bad. I'm starting to like this thing. All right, now we should just be able to take a straight edge, line up our marks, drill some holes. We'll have a pretty solid radiator hold down. And fan retainer. And cover that covers all the hideousness that's underneath. This is like a multifunctional bracket right here. I'm pretty proud of this. I'm gonna take my straight edge, figure out how far that line is. Don't worry, this line is gonna be straight, but it's crooked with the world. Aw, not long enough. Story of my life. There we go. This big feller, old Barry here, he'll cut the job. Cut the cake. He'll make the cut. That's what it is. Barry here will make the cut. Boy, something has got a high spot. I can't imagine it's this panel we just cut up. I'm gonna drill the holes in the wrong spot anyway, so don't really matter. I'm gonna go find some hardware first, see what size holes we gotta drill. Holy buckets, she's humid. That's the beauty of living in Podunk, North Dakota. You get 95 degrees and 90% humidity to go with the 30 below zero and 30-mile-an-hour wind chill. Makes you kind of miss winter, doesn't it, Duff? Yeah. Let's find some hardware. I'm guessing these are some type of not standard thread. Body bolt of sorts, maybe. Tech tip of the day, if you got a reamer or a bit that you want to know how deep you gotta go, put it in there, take some tape, mark your bit, and all your holes will be the same depth or diameter, whatever you're going for, if you're using a reamer or if you're using a drill bit. Watch me look like a monkey doing you know what to a football, trying to get it on there. Or watch it just fly right off on the first hole. We shall find out. Look at that. Boom, perfect hole every time. Like we knew what we were doing. That's hot. I got some really cool, Puddin's got them too. Dimple dies for screw holes, but this thing really, we're getting out of hand already. Let's just bolt this thing on there. Found me some nice yellow chromate zinc coated Allen bolts, 5/16, some new clips because I couldn't find any hardware that fit what was on there because metric late 70s GM stuff sucks. All right, let's go bolt this thing on. Are you on the tips of your toes watching all this fabrication? Yeah, I bet. First thing, we gotta get these old clippers out of there. Did you see if the old Mortske screwdriver handles it? Oh, she's oh yeah, walk right out. I was gonna say, screwdriver's a bit undersized, but the old Mortske magnetic screwdriver, it may be small, but it's all about the motion of the ocean, right? Look at that thing. It's all in how you use it. Come on now, don't fight me now. It's just bragging you up. There we go. These are not your standard like quarter or 5/16 or not 3/8 thread. They're, I don't know, like a thread roll or something or other. This one's seen better days. I don't want to bend up my screwdriver. So we grab some 5/16 units. Gonna get the big dog to finish the job. Picked up an assortment of these on the old Amazonia. And man, they're handy because around here, they get rusty. And when you try to take the bolt out, they break that tab there and then they just spin. So it's handy to have replacements. Plus they work good for kind of a hidden fastener in this application. Rib nuts would work all right as well, but I was already set up for these. All right, the moment of truth. I'm gonna hit there with the flap disc quick. Looking good. Good enough for the girls we go with. Hey, stay tuned for the logo. I think we've got the final design. Courtesy old Mike Yaps at Creative Oddities. He's a good kid. See how many we can cross thread. Definitely cross threaded. Surely it can't be the goon who drilled the hole. Oh, look at that handy Mortske screwdriver. Just slides that insert right where it needs to be. Oh, what the French toast? We buggered it all up.
346 minutes later.
I think I ganked up that threaded nut thinger. Let's take the tag off the radiator. I think we're fully committed to using the 92 GMC radiator. We don't need that identity tag anymore. All right, come on now. I'm gonna lose my patience here shortly. What for cheese and rice?
Later.
Where did you go? Gone forever.
Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
Picked up a ton of these Allen bolts on an employee auction. I got just more hardware than I'll ever need in my entire life. Pennies on the dollar. And I love button head socket screws. I think that's what these are called. Allen head, rounded Allen heads. And they just look so dang clean compared to a regular hex head or Allen bolt. It's the small details, you know, really ties a build like this together and makes it worthy of a Riddler Award. What are you growling about? A little bit of room for movement in there, which is good. Like I said, we could paint this. We could just put a Mojo Craft logo on it. Look at that thing. To be honest, I'm really proud of that. And like I said, we still could have dimple dyed it and done all the cool pudding stuff. But this thing's a crap box that I don't care about. But it didn't cost us nothing but a couple cents for some hardware. All stuff we had laying around. God, that looks so much better. Fans look better, radiator fits in there better. Hose routing is gonna be better now. And if we really wanted to, we could put some fittings in there. For a tranny cooler, we could get rid of this anomaly. And guess what? If it's good enough to cool a 92 GMC full-size half-ton, both the radiator and that tranny cooler are going to be more than good enough to cool this 5.3 in this thing, because this thing's just going to be cutting through the air, right? Just whew, like a firework. Or a rocket ship. All right, let's get our plumbing hooked up, and then we can do a little wiring. We got to put a relay in here. We got to wire up our fans. Air cleaner, just put that back together. It's really ugly. We could make a nice cover for that someday. We'll see. Because yeah, that air intake's going to cover half of what we just did. I'd like to put a P-clamp up here to hold this radiator hose, but the air box does an alright job of holding it. I couldn't find a P-clamp big enough. My stash is depleted. So now, I think we're just going to leave it. Remember, he had just had some zip ties going from that hole and looped around. Had like a daisy chain going over to this guy holding this thing down, but I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. And what I should do is make a little bracket that comes off of this guy, sticks up, and then we just clamp that hose clamp to it, and then that should hold it pretty rigid, or a guy could put one up there, but it's really not going to go anywhere for now. And long term, I'd like to get rid of this piece of PVC and that surgical glove that he's got used for a grommet there and do something different. But I don't really have much for cold air intake stuff laying around, unfortunately. You know how much I love flexi hoses, even flexi air intake hoses, but it is what it is. It'd be kind of nice to have something just come straight off or even tucks down in here, but we ain't got time for that. Let's put some fluid in it and see if it holds coolant before we get too crazy. Yeah, other than that, wiring her up. She's getting close. So we got the coolant full. I took the steam port vent, held that up there, so you should have pretty much all the air pockets out of there. I've seen a lot of guys get some fresh engines real hot, or a freshly installed engine real hot, or something you just changed the water pump real hot because they didn't get all the air pockets out of there, which is sometimes hard, especially when you got a thermostat, which we now have. Well, look at this handy dandy little relay that came with these fans. It's even 30 amp fuse, so red goes to the battery, black goes to the ground, white goes to our power source to turn it on, which is going to be the key, and blue is going to go to the fan. So usually I don't like these things hooked up to the key. I like them hooked up to a temperature switch so they come on once it gets warm enough. Well, guess what? This thing came with a temperature switch. Looks like you just got to find a 3/8 pipe thread port to put it in, which we're having real trouble on this car. The computer should have a ground signal that you could hook up to this relay to turn it on. If that's turned on the computer, we'll have to check that. That's the way I'd like to have it wired up. And I hate when guys wire them up to the battery, direct to the battery, the white and the red to the battery. So every time this switch kicks it on, the fans come on, even if nobody's in the car. It really irks me when nobody is around the car and the fans are running. And I know a couple of people who have come back to their car and the battery's dead because the fans have been running, because the alternator's not running. If you got big enough fans or bad enough battery, and sometimes these switches will go bad, so they'll burn out and your fans will be running on your car, and good way to burn your garage down. So hook it up to an ignition power, so it only runs when your key's on at least. And the way to do it is use a switch like your ECU on an LS or one of these, so that it only comes on when it reaches, say you want it to come on at 160 or 180, whatever it is, but don't just hook it up to battery power. Bad things happen. But look at this water temperature sensor. I am not going to run that for this. There's no brand. It just says Auto Parts. Water temperature sensor. Not even a country of manufacture. But look at this. Specialization achieves values. And achieves values is one word. And values is missing the E. And I am a grammar Nazi. And innovation creates future. So, somebody was pretty proud of their what do they call that? The credo of their company. Specialization achieves value as innovation creates future. Somebody will have to find out what that Wing Tong company is. But anyway, this thing comes with some cheesy male spade clip connectors, and of course the kit doesn't come with those, so you got to make that connection yourself. So we're going to cut those off there, and we're going to put some weather packs, because I like weather packs, and we're not going to use these crappy insulated ends. And this is going straight into the trash, because I want nothing to do with that thing. All right, let's get to doing some electrical. Fans are all wired in. I put the relay right here, snuck the wires down and around for the power. The ground is right here. If we do get somebody to program the ECU, maybe we'll get old Rigid Customs Eli over here, and he can run it off a trigger wire off the ECU. And the part I like about that is then we can set the temperature if we want him to come on at 160. Right now, let's test it. I did put a actual ground cable on and ran it to the engine block as opposed to the fender like it was before. I suppose we could put a bolt to this battery cable at some point too. But yeah, fans are wired up. Let's test them out. Here goes nothing. Oh yeah, she's running Duff. Duff wants to go for an RIDE, but it's DARK. And I'm guessing we don't have lights. I need to work on that next. Somewhere in here, I'm guessing, is power to the fuse relay center on the firewall, underneath the dash, whatever. And that should get our lights working, hopefully, if we get power to the right one. Let's see if it shuts off right away. Let's see if it starts. Oh, it won't, because we just hooked up the ECU and it won't idle on its own. Anyway, so before, when you turn the key off, it'd keep running for a little bit because the fan motors turn into like a generator when they're turning on their own, like they still are right meow. And that'll backfeed the system, and it backfeeds the ignition because they're hooked up to the ignition. But we put that relay in there, and that eliminates. And also with the relay, we can trigger it with ground or we can trigger it with power, and we can also run a lot higher amperage to them. Because, you know, you could trigger them with a 5 amp, 2 amp fuse, and you could run a whatever 30 amp relay on there, depending on what your rating is. So that's kind of the point. You can, like I said, untie it from the ignition system. You can run it with ground, you can run it with power, or you can run it with a smaller power source than what it takes to run. The advantages of a relay. But yeah, we got the electrical pretty well cleaned up. Man, this thing looks so much better up front here now. Especially if we did something with that air intake. Like I said, I don't have a lot of stuff. I got a 99 to 06 air intake like I use on everything, but that's going to come up way over here. So if you know of a good air intake that just kind of hangs out right there, that would be great. But I don't want to get too crazy. Plus the hood's already cut up for this, so I think we're just going to stick with it for now. But yeah, no rides tonight, unfortunately. So there you have it. I wanted to work on this thing, but we ended up working on that thing, and we ended up working on Reggie, and we ended up fetching gas pumps, and we ended up just doing all the things that we do around here. Got the gas pumps unloaded. We got a few more miles on that thing. It seems to be working fine. Oh yeah, we got the fan swapped on it. That was kind of a bugger. Had to heat her up with the torch, but anyway, I wanted to work on this car all week, but then that's the beauty of having all these old beaters around here, is they all die. And then I sold my late model Jeep today, I think. I don't know. They took it home. I didn't get paid, but I still got the title. I'm sure everything will be fine. But anyway, it's been a busy week. It's been chaos. We got the video all late last week. We're probably going to be late again this week. I don't know. Let's see what day this comes out. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys and gals. Thank you so much for watching. Without you folks, we couldn't do this. The support you give us, whether it's through watching these videos, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get merchandise at mortske.com. Get yourself a screwdriver. Those things, they're amazing. Or a scraper or a shirt. Or what else we got? Air fresheners. You name it. Decals. Or Patreon. We got a Patreon account if you want to support us through there. If you don't want to buy any merchandise, or we can't ship you merchandise because you're in another country, unfortunately, and you want to support the channel, we do have a Patreon account. That's all listed down below. But yeah, thank you to everybody who makes this stuff possible. But I need a shower. I need a sandwich. And what was the good dad joke that Chin sent me to? Why couldn't the chameleon change colors? Because he had reptile dysfunction. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to hang on to that one. Reptile dysfunction. All right, thank you very much for watching. Check out our other videos. Remember, it doesn't matter how you get it done so long as you were having fun. And this car is fun. I did take her for a test lap around the racetrack, and it doesn't bottom out, so it's gonna be real good with some shocks on it. Wheels and tires and stance. That is where it's at. This thing is mother trucking low. Hopefully no raccoons cross the road in front of us, eh, Duff? Yeah. We like them.